Welcome, everyone, to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, name is Bitronistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong national security to defend Israel. It is a great pleasure to be joined today by the founder and chairman of IDSF, Brigadier General Amir Avivi. General, thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure.
Let's jump right into it. It's been a loud day on the Gaza border, and there's obviously a lot of action up on the Lebanon border as well. So what can you share with us in terms of updates in this war right now?
So basically, in Gaza, it's still a war. We're operating with 3 divisions in Gaza. We have Division 162 that has been operating in the last 2 months in Rafah, took control of all the Egyptian border, and they're expanding the perimeter from the border into Rafah to really create an area where they can control and deal with all these tunnels that are crossing from Gaza to Egypt. So constantly they're growing this corridor and expanding it. At the same time, there is fierce fighting inside Rafah. Because this is really the last main stronghold of Hamas, the fighting is very fierce. And Division 162 is operating in a neighborhood called Shabura. And there are heavy exchanges of fire, but they are moving steadily forward, killing many terrorists, destroying underground infrastructure, seizing many weapons, and steadily moving towards conquering all of Rafah. Rafah, basically, all the citizens fled away to the humanitarian area along the shore. So it's mainly with the terrorists, and are moving forward with the operation. In the center of Gaza, we have Division 98. This division is securing the corridor from Israel, from Netzarim, basically enabling to disconnect all of north of Gaza from the center and south, making sure that no Palestinians go back to the north. So in north of Gaza, we have something like 200,000 people, maybe less, because they're all the time moving south. And so they are also securing this corridor and expanding it all the time. And from their positions along the corridor, they send forces to raid areas according to accurate intelligence. And also they're continuously destroying infrastructure and killing terrorists. And in the northern part of Gaza, we have Division 98, the paratroopers, and they this week launched an attack on Sajaya. Sajaya is close to our borders. There was many terrorists that gathered together and tried to organize in the area of Sajaya, and Division 98 is attacking fiercely there and destroying them. And the people who were there, many of them moved south. So in Gaza, fighting continues all the time. And at the same time, we have on the command level of the Southern Command and on the general staff level, there is joint work between the Shin Bet and the army to really do pinpointed attacks on leadership of Hamas in the different areas. And every week, we have 1, 2, 3 commanders, whether it's field commanders or somebody more high-ranking, that they manage to spot, get the intelligence, and conduct an attack to kill them. And this is ongoing. So Hamas steadily is being destroyed in Gaza. Now, at this stage, basically, the army feels that in a few weeks they will really destroy the main forces of Hamas, and then will be able to send many of the troops north. And this is a moment where Israel needs to decide how they deal with Lebanon. And this is a complicated issue. And basically, the Ministry of Defense and the Prime Minister are saying if there is a diplomatic solution, we don't exclude it. If Hezbollah will retreat from South Lebanon. We are willing to have this solution. I'm not sure if they're saying that because that's the right thing to say on the international level to build international legitimacy, or they actually mean that. But I think that overall, the chances to see Hezbollah withdrawing without real pressure are not very, very high. And certainly not in a reality where the IDF is inside Gaza and continues to operate. So in this reality, I think the chances of war in Lebanon obviously are very, very high. And there is a big question, what Iran and Hezbollah really want. Do they want ceasefire or they are looking to fight? And if they are looking to fight, the big danger is that they will attack first. This is something we need to take in account because it really matters who has the initiative. Always it matters in battlefield who has the initiative. And we need to make sure that we are really the ones controlling the initiative and timing and everything. And this is part of the discussions IDSF is having with the Prime Minister, with the Minister of Defense. Yesterday, we also met with Lieberman. Following this meeting, he released today statements to the media about his position about needing to be strong against Iran, against Hezbollah. So this discussion is undergoing. But there is no doubt that this is a very, very crucial moment. Now, there are people who say, let's wait, let's try to organize. Maybe let's wait 2 years and have more munitions, maybe build the forces. But we have to understand that in 2 years, maybe we'll have Iran nuclear. In 2 years, maybe we'll find in Lebanon hundreds of thousands of militias from all over the Middle East that will move to Lebanon. We cannot really know what will happen in 2 years. And also, to me, it doesn't make sense to say to the Israelis of the North, go back home, while Hezbollah is in full capability. Rebuild your lives. We'll spend billions rebuilding them. And then in 2 years saying to them, okay, go back to the hotels and see their cities destroyed again. It simply doesn't make sense. I mean, if we have already evacuated them and we have been hitting Hezbollah for 8 months and we're already in war and the society is in the mode of war, why wait? Makes sense to me that we're in a war and let's finish this. Let's do what needs to do. Yes, it's hard, it's complicated, it's challenging. This is war. That's the way it works. It's hard and it's complicated and it's challenging. But we need leadership. We need people that believe in our capabilities and the ability of the IDF and Israeli society to really stand strong and do whatever it needs to do. And I believe that we are definitely resolute enough and strong enough, and we have a strong enough army to win decisively, not only in the south, but also in the north, and restore security for the people. And we have to look also a step ahead, because by destroying Hamas and really inflicting serious damage on Hezbollah and controlling the southern part of Lebanon, not only will be able to bring back our citizens home safely, but also we create the terms to deal with Iran. Because once you destroy the main proxies of Iran, the ability to deal with them afterwards is much bigger, obviously. You don't have to be deterred by Hamas or Hezbollah. And also this might also be influenced by the elections in the US and what will happen in November. We don't know. We don't even know who will actually run for presidency. We'll have to see. But maybe we'll see in January a different policy, more strong on Iran and its proxies, and this might work well, especially if we did our part and took care of Hamas and Hezbollah. Moshe?
General, thank you for sharing all of that. I'd like to go back to discussing Gaza for a moment, and I want to thank all of our viewers who send in questions to help guide these conversations, either in the chat right now or beforehand in WhatsApp and emails. And General, a lot of people are wondering about the state of the tunnels in Gaza. You know, there was a recent report that it's going to take the IDF upwards of 6 months just to destroy and identify the tunnels in the Philadelphia corridor. You obviously have an expertise in that area. Can you kind of explain a little bit better about the state of the extent to which we know about all of the tunnels and how long it will take to eliminate them?
Well, I don't know if it's 6 months, but I can say that today Israel has very, very sophisticated means to detect the tunnels, to also investigate them, and then to destroy them. And yes, it's a process that will take time. It can take a few months. I don't know if it's 6. 6 sounds to me a lot. I think it's less. But definitely it's a big project and a big mission to deal and destroy with all this, destroy all these tunnels. Obviously, once you find a tunnel, even before you destroy it, it's enough that you find it, dig into it, and it won't be used, because once you control it, even before you destroy it. But overall, talking about the tunnel infrastructure, not only on the Egyptian border, but in Gaza, it's a huge, huge infrastructure. It might take a year or two to really map all of this and destroy it. You need to bring explosives from all over the world. The amount of explosives you need to deal with this giant infrastructure is unbelievable. It's a lot of work. And this is why dealing with Gaza will take years and years. It's not something that is going to end anytime soon.
So long as there's still one tunnel intact, does Hamas still have the capacity to escape to Egypt or to continuously resupply? Meaning this war will not end until all of the tunnels are destroyed, or that's not necessary?
Well, obviously, we need to destroy all of the tunnels. We need to completely stop the ability of Hamas to rebuild itself. And part of this is destroying completely all the tunnels on the Egyptian border, and not only underground, also control above ground. You can smuggle above ground, not only underground. So we have to be in full control of the border, this 12, 14 kilometers from the sea all the way to Kerem Shalom. But this is not enough. You have to also have full freedom of operation everywhere in Gaza and continue systematically to destroy their capabilities. We have destroyed the main industries that were producing rockets and other capabilities, so they don't have an industry now as they did before. But there is still huge, huge amounts of weapons inside Gaza. Every second house, you have anti-tank missiles, improvised explosive devices, weapons, grenades. It's all over the place. So it will take a long time to really clean Gaza from all these capabilities.
So then are you able to give a ballpark understanding of at what point does the war in Gaza end? Meaning, as you stated, there will be a long-term operational presence necessary of the IDF, but what is that moment where we can say the war is over if it doesn't include destroying every last terrorist or every last tunnel?
So it's a matter of intensity. It's I mean, you have a full-scale war where you operate with full divisions, with hundreds of tanks and APCs and artillery and so on. And there is a reality where you can go with 3 armored cars or 4 armored cars into a neighborhood and arrest somebody who is suspected of terror. And it's 2 different situations. So Gaza needs to go to be something like the reality we're experiencing in Judea and Samaria, where we have freedom of operation. We can go and arrest people. But now what we can do in Gaza to really continue pressuring is first, not let anybody go back north. I mean, as long as they don't surrender, don't put the weapons down, don't give us back all our hostages. As long as they're not giving us their leaders, we can say, okay, no reconstruction and nobody goes back north. Stay in the Moasi. So we have means to pressure the Gazans in a way that will push them towards an understanding. There will be no reconstruction of Gaza. Nobody is going back home. No money is going in, only food, if they don't surrender. And if they don't hand us our hostages and the Hamas leadership. And we need to keep this pressure. We need to also control Gaza from the civilian side, at least for a period of time, until we really manage to, step by step, build an alternative solution for local leadership in Gaza.
Thank you. Let's go back to Lebanon. You've mentioned in the past that Hezbollah can't be destroyed because they can just keep retreating northwards. So a war with Hezbollah, what does that look like in terms of the tremendous cost to Israel, and then maybe a few years of quiet, if that, before they just regroup, if there's no real way to destroy Hezbollah?
So Hezbollah is part of a state, the Lebanese state, and this state has electricity plants, has an airport, has seaports, has infrastructure, and it needs to be very clear that if Hezbollah shoots centers in Israel or shoots, let's say, electricity plants and so on, Israel will destroy all the infrastructure in Lebanon in a way that will take them back to the Stone Age. And it's not just about Hezbollah. It's a country that is attacking us with a force that is also controlling the government. I think that there are many forces that oppose Hezbollah inside Lebanon. We need to get them mobilized and really deal internally with Hezbollah. What we can reach, talking about goals of war, is really controlling South Lebanon, destroying Hezbollah in South Lebanon, and really inflicting serious damage on all Hezbollah's capabilities all over Lebanon. And if they shoot Israeli cities, also inflict serious damage to Lebanese infrastructure. We can close also the airspace of Lebanon, the sea, and put a lot of pressure on this country. And the end state is we have to bring our citizens back to the north, to an area that can be safe and not see Hezbollah on the other side of the border. I believe that in this scenario, the IDF will have to stay many, many years in South Lebanon. What kind of mechanism can replace the IDF? Honestly, there is no answer, because nothing has worked until now. All the agreements we did the many years we were in Lebanon didn't work, not in 78, not in 2006. So there is no clear answer unless the Lebanese themselves bring down Hezbollah and build a different future. As long as Hezbollah is controlling Lebanon, there is no good answer apart of making sure that they cannot reach our citizens.
Thank you. Let's share some good news right now, and not just the state of the war in Gaza and Lebanon. You have a book in Hebrew, which is soon to be published in English. And a week or so ago, your book was the #1 bestseller on the Haaretz book list, which is an interesting place to be the #1 bestseller. Can you share a little bit about what your book is about so that people can anticipate reading it in English, and what it's doing here in Israeli society that it became the #1 book the other week?
So the book was published in May 2023, half a year before the war. And it was basically, I took the national security assessment IDSF built 2 years ago saying war is imminent and what we are going to face. And really around that, wrote a book that describes, on one hand, the huge challenges Israel is facing from Iran and its proxies, from Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and everything that's going on inside Israel, but also talking about the challenges of anti-Semitism and the delegitimation that Israel is facing. When I talked about national security, I don't look just at the challenges of Israel, but the Jewish world overall. But I think what is interesting is not only just talking about the challenges, but also the solutions. And the book really gives a bright, clear vision for the future of Israel and the Jewish people that really gives the answer to the biggest question of all. What is needed to secure Israel and the Jewish people for generations to come? What is needed to create not only security, but also prosperity? And of course, I think that people in Israel, they really want answers. They want optimism. They want a vision. They want to know where things are going. And this is why people are really, really interested in the book. And indeed, it's now it's the week of books in Israel. Everybody is participating in big events of buying books. And in this specific month, that is really the month of the book in Israel, the book is #1 bestseller.
Amazing. And it's certainly a good read. Everyone who's listening to this briefing, if you read Hebrew, absolutely go get yourself a copy. And if you're waiting for the English, when it comes out, it's really very powerful. General, another piece of good news are two members of the IDSF movement, two senior members here in Israel who were just elevated to very prominent civil roles here in Israel. Are you able to share a little bit about that?
Yes, we know that we have two huge missions. One is to rebuild the South, and the second one is to rebuild the North. And these two big missions require, under the government, to build basically organizations that will really work on behalf of the government in coordination with the municipalities, with the cities, with the citizens, to rebuild the south of Israel and also to give solutions and rebuild the north. And for these two organizations, the Prime Minister appointed two of IDSF's generals, General Iftach Rontal for the south and General Eli Marom Chaini to the north. And this is, I think, a clear message of how influential IDSF has become and the esteem that the government has to the organization and its generals. And I'm very happy to see these two prominent generals really in key positions in probably dealing from the civil side of the most important mission Israel has in the coming years.
Okay, and on that note, final question for the day. What do you think the state right now is of Israeli society in terms of its unity, in terms of its willingness to stay connected and have the resolve to fight the war, whether it's only on the Gaza border or also up in Lebanon?
I think that still most of the Israeli society is very resolute. They want victory. They want unity. And they want to see a decisive win in Gaza. And in the north, they want to see a win is also, by the way, bringing all our hostages back, not only destroying Hamas as a governmental and military entity. We have a certain portion of the society that is more bothered with elections and wanting to change the government and protesting. I don't think it represents the vast majority of Israelis. Maybe this is a loud minority, but still a minority. I think really most of the people are on one side resolute, on the other side worried. I mean, they don't know what will happen, what it means to have a war with Lebanon. How will we deal with that? Will Iran join this war or not? Will there be a diplomatic solution? There are many, many questions, and the future doesn't seem clear. And I think that really our responsibility as an organization to empower the society, to strengthen them, to give them the hope and the assurance that Israel can win. This is very, very important. It's really, really important at this time to strengthen the society. And we know there are challenges. We know that war is a difficult thing. But what will win the war is not the amount of airplanes or munitions we have. It's really the spirit. And we need to keep the spirit high, believe in ourselves. Remember also that we are the Jewish people, we're the chosen people. We have God also with us. And we have to really understand that we are something special and do what needs to be done to really win decisively.
Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. For those of you asking about the title of the book, I put it in the chat in Hebrew. So if you want to purchase the Hebrew book, just copy and paste the title into your web browser, and you'll get a dozen different bookstores that will sell it and probably ship it online. The English one is not
by the
out
way,
yet.
The title in Hebrew, it's Lo Nashuv Achor. We cannot go back to being expelled from our land. And one of the messages I say to the society is that for a country, for a nation that has been expelled from its land 4 times, Assyrians, Babylonians, Romans, Muslims, with everything we went through, the 2,000 years of diaspora, persecutions, Holocaust, all these terrible things, we really need to take seriously the biggest question of all, what is needed to secure our nation for generations to come. And what worries me is that this big question is not asked at all, or even when people deal with it, it becomes a very political discussion and not always very serious. And what we are saying is, guys, this is our existence. Let's discuss it seriously and really, really go in depth and give answers. And we should not be in a reality where we think about a grocery list more than we think about our existence.
100%. Thank you, General. Thank you to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning into this briefing. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. here in Israel. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.